Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Ultimate Comics Podcast. My name is Nabil Gaber, and I'm one of your hosts.
I'm Josh Kang, the other host.
And this is the podcast where we talk about Ultimate Marvel, an imprint of Marvel Comics that began in the year 2000, which was meant to modernize, streamline, and reimagine Marvel and its characters for the 21st century, with titles such as Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Fantastic Four, The Ultimates. You get the idea. Every episode, Josh and I have been talking about a handful of issues from the original Ultimate Marvel Universe. We've been making our way through the Ultimate Universe, hoping in one day to get to the new, most recent Ultimate Universe. And we've just been talking about what we think of the issues, what we like, what we don't like so much, what holds up, what might not have aged so well, and just the overall impact these comics had on Marvel in terms of the comics, movies, TV, animation, etc. And this week we are back with some more Ultimate X-Men. We're finishing up this current batch of issues with issues 58 through 60. Josh, what did you think of these issues?
I thought they were pretty fun to read. I will say 58 was really good, but Professor X kind of came off as a jerk, as our friend Kitty Pryde would say.
Yeah, Kitty Pryde was right and will always be right in her statement that Professor Xavier is a jerk.
Yeah.
But yes, 58 is a neat little one-off issue about Professor X, which is very interesting. And yeah, there are times when he does just come off as kind of a jerk and pretty shady, but I feel like that's part of the Professor X character.
Especially in Ultimate.
Yeah, definitely, especially in Ultimate for sure. I think in some moments he is a little tamer and more like his 616 counterpart. And in some instances it's very extreme and like, oh, that's messed up. You're like almost a villain now, Professor X. Like,
and
you're
a deadbeat
evil.
dad.
Yeah, and a deadbeat dad. But that's pretty true of his 616 counterpart too. Because I think the thing is about Professor X is over time, especially since like the 90s going into the 2000s, like a lot has been done to almost make Professor X like a straight up villain sometimes. He's gotten shadier and grayer in his morality. So I feel like there come to be fewer and fewer differences between Ultimate Professor X and 616 Professor X, where Ultimate Professor X, I feel like, has always been pretty shady and always pretty like yikes in his morality.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really fun issue. And then, we have a couple other issues afterwards focusing on Wolverine and Storm, two of my favorite X-Men. So I love those issues. It was a fun batch.
I think around this time was when Storm and Wolverine were getting into a relationship in 616, right?
Oh, this was a few years before that. I feel like in the main universe continuity, Wolverine and Storm developed like a full-on romantic relationship, probably post Avengers versus X-Men.
Yeah,
so like around like 2013 or so onwards,
Under
until
Bendis,
Wolverine
right?
died. Yeah, that's like around the time Bendis came on the title and started writing like all new X-Men, and then Jason Aaron, of course, was on Wolverine and the X-Men.
Yeah.
But that just gets me into the weeds of like 616 continuity and everything. But I love that relationship.
Oh, me too. I do like the show Wolverine and X-Men. I watched it in junior high as a kid. I think it was junior high. It's interesting. It's a 616 storyline with Ultimate art, with the art from the Ultimates, I feel.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Because the Ultimates influence a lot of art.
Wolverine and the X-Men was gone too soon. I will say that. For those of you who have not seen that series, it's one season, it's 26 episodes, gone way too soon. Very cool show. Obviously, based on the title, you can tell it focuses a little bit more on Wolverine than the X-Men at times.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really well done, and it had a lot of potential to do more. But I digress. I miss that show, and I miss Spectacular Spider-Man and Avengers Are Mightiest Heroes, and I'm far from the first person to say that. So, but
it's always a shame that Marvel is not very good at animation, but when they make good animation, they just kind of get rid of it really quick.
Yeah, it sucks.
I will say Wolverine and the X-Men, the comic, Storm is a horn dog in it.
I mean, it's X-Men. Let's just move past it. They're all horn dogs.
Maybe they shouldn't be. Maybe they should be focused on like monasticism and austerity and stoicism.
That would be an entirely different comic. Are you talking about like, I don't know, the Inhumans are more like your speed then at that point?
I do like some of the stuff between Black Bolt and Medusa.
Yeah, because you're into that kinky BDSM stuff, as we learned.
Play
it back. Play it back. Let's go back to our Fantastic Four episode when we talked about the Inhumans.
It's gonna be on YouTube or Instagram. I bet you're just gonna edit this so it has like a Like,
I'm pretty sure it's already on Instagram. It's already on YouTube. It's on TikTok at this point. There's no escaping it. Your words are out there for everyone to hear, Josh.
You know what? They are.
Anyways, yeah. We just we gotta own it. Just own who we are. We put
Yeah.
ourselves out there for the world, and
Yeah.
if y'all don't like it, well, that's fine. We're not gonna stop anytime soon. But yeah, let's just get right into these issues, Josh, without further ado.
Professor X is at the bank. I
Mhm.
forget how much money he's trying to extract, but it's a lot. I maybe this is just because like most of us, including some of these writers, don't know how rich people live. I hope some of these writers now know a bit because I really hope they get paid for their work, which I know Marvel has a bad habit of not doing as well. But like,
Yeah,
I don't think like if you have that much money, I think they usually don't. You don't go to the teller about it. Rich people generally go to like a separate room where they like extract it for them in a special way. But
well, I think the issue here is how the issue starts out that Professor X is talking to this bank teller trying to get help because his assets have been frozen.
yeah,
And it's the Hellfire Club. We find out that,
yeah, they're still active.
yeah, they've frozen his assets. They're still active and they're doing everything they can to like prevent Professor X from using his wealth and his assets to help the X-Men and fund his school. So he's talking to the bank teller and he's like, yeah, can I just like, please just like, can you temporarily let me withdraw like a certain amount because I have a school to run? And the teller's like, well, it's not that simple. Like everything, it looks like it's been withheld from you and this could take some time. And Professor X is very frustrated.
Considering his friends with Bush, I'm like, don't you guys know what people in the Treasury Department also like? I
Yeah,
feel
I
a
mean,
bank would generally be nice to this guy, considering his friends with Bush.
yeah, and like he's friends with Nick Fury, and the X Men are working with Shield and the government. I'm like, you could go to some higher ups and help like get this sorted out because
Yeah,
you're not alone anymore at this point. That's a good
yeah.
point.
Yeah, but then conjoined twins with holes in their chests rob the bank all of a sudden.
Yes, yeah. There are these conjoined twins that turn up. They call themselves the Syndicate, and they're doing the classic like bank robbery. And it's really funny because there are some people in the crowd who are like, Siamese twins. It's a really funny moment where they're like, do we look like we're from Siam? Which is like a really funny moment to be like, no, correction, they're conjoined twins. All right, let's not. It is all too common for people to call conjoined twins Siamese, especially in the 2000s. So it was a funny
Yeah.
moment of being like, hey, watch it.
This is also a weird thing. I feel. I mean, I don't know how much of it is on purpose. That Ultimate Marvel's kind of saying like, look, there's a lot of random human mutations in real life, like albinoism, having fur in wrong places, extra nipples, conjoined twins. That like to a lot of random people, you would not know the difference between them and mutants.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
But they are also mutants with a special power. So on top of that, they have this EMP that pumps from their heart. And
yeah,
so using their EMP powers, they fry all the security in the bank.
like Tony Stark.
Yes, actually, a lot like Tony Stark, except I guess this is something they were born with, being mutants.
Yeah. So EMPs, as far as I know, knock out electricity. So if they were in like Kansas where there was no electricity, they might not know they had this power.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be a problem then, because then they wouldn't need to knock out security or electricity because there wouldn't be like any electronic surveillance there.
Yeah.
But Xavier uses his telepathy to like alert the police in the area and
Hmm.
make them think that they're getting like a notification about a bank robbery in the scene. So this is a really fun issue because it shows Xavier like using his powers in very creative ways to like sneakily like stop this robbery from happening. And he also uses his telepathy to mentally tell the twins to stand down. But
Yeah.
this only makes the syndicate matter, and they're like yelling like, who is that? Who's in
We
our
are immune
heads?
to telepathy.
Yeah, they like point their gun at this little kid with glasses and they're like, you're the telepath.
Because you look like a nerd.
Yeah, he's like, nerd, you're probably a telepath. You look like you'd be the type. And I was like, okay,
You know,
stereotyping this
other
nerdy
than
little kid.
in all of X-Men, other than Kid Omega and Professor X, I don't think there is like a non super attractive telepath. They're all like ripped and like supermodel esque.
Yeah, I'll have to think of some examples, but yeah, a lot of the notable like telepaths in X-Men are very attractive. If you look at Jean Grey or Betsy Braddock or Kanan or
Emma
Emma
Frost.
Frost, yeah, the list goes on. It's a lot of super attractive telepaths. I guess you could count Madeline Pryor, but she's a clone of Jean anyways, so that's basically like their looks are
Yeah.
identical.
Professor X, Kid Omega, maybe Doctor Strange, if you count him as a telepath.
That's a totally different issue. That's
Well,
like a
no, because like,
magician. He's a
yeah,
sorcerer.
but like he has a spell to turn him into a telepath.
That's true, but he's not a mutant.
No, I guess not. You're right.
But Xavier stands up and reveals himself to the Syndicate because he doesn't want this kid to be harmed. And they're actually pretty rude to. There's a lot of ableist, nasty stuff that happens. They call Professor X a gimp and they kick him out of his wheelchair, which that's rude. Don't do that to someone with a disability.
Let's be fair, they're not good people, and that is the one
That's
advantage
true.
you have over this possibly very powerful guy in a wheelchair. That being said, Ultimate Professor X is also a telekinetic, and they never
Yes.
do anything with it except he goes up the stairs one time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They barely use his telekinesis. Well, he also like rips a car in half one time with his telekinesis fighting Magneto, but
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
that's way back in the first arc. Anyways,
Yeah.
but yeah, they're also saying stuff like, oh yeah, they're saying like all bald people look alike or something, and like using a lot of discriminatory language against Professor X.
As a bald American, I am very offended by that statement.
Yeah, like don't offend and trigger Josh like this, all right?
Yeah, us bald and ugly people, we're all individuals, you know?
Well, to be fair to all of our listeners who can't see Josh, he is not actually bald.
I'm just balding.
He's starting to bald. It's a pretty small bald spot in his hair line. Don't be confused. He actually does have hair.
Uh-huh.
But then the cops arrive and they form a perimeter around the bank. And I think the Syndicate still doesn't believe that Professor X is the telepath because they still blame the kid for like being like a telepath. And so Xavier manages to get around this by telepathically communicating to the kid and telling him what to say to the Syndicate, saying like, hey, don't kill anyone, like take us as hostages, we're more valuable as hostages in a negotiation with the police.
And it's because Xavier is telling it that, I believe, through telepathy.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, he's using his telepathy to tell the kid exactly what to say so he can communicate with the Syndicate. And the one appearance we get from the X-Men in this issue is Professor X like contacts Jean, and you see that they're fighting Warlock in New Jersey. Warlock, the like techno-organic being.
Who hangs out with Cypher.
Yes, exactly. He's good buddies with Cypher of the New Mutants. And in the main universe, he is one of the New Mutants and like an ally to the X-Men. So it is really funny how they're fighting Warlock. There's not really much explanation or context given here. But the X-Men are preoccupied because they're over in New Jersey, so they don't have the time or capacity to get over and help him.
Yeah, they can't take the Amtrak yet.
No. Yeah, there's no time for that. This is a hostage situation. It's time sensitive.
For those who know, Cypher is famous outside of X-Men. On Archer, they made a reference to Cypher one time about him being the lamest X-Men.
Oh, they referenced him in Archer?
Yeah, there's a scene where Archer goes like, "You're like the lamest X-Men," and Pam goes, "No, Cypher is the lamest X-Men."
Which, far from the truth. Cypher has gotten a massive glow up in the last few years in the comics.
He's still physically the lamest. He gets his like... Everyone just says, like, you go easy on Cypher.
Listen, Cypher was definitely overlooked and dunked on for years because, okay, he doesn't have a physical mutation and he doesn't have, like, a power that's good in combat, but he's actually very useful when it comes to, like, not just speaking every language, which it was originally his power, but also now speaking, like, understanding, like, computer language, like code, or understanding body language and using that to his advantage.
The body language thing has been around since the 90s, technically.
I think that's been around since he came back in the Zeb Wells New Mutants run in the 2000s.
Oh, yeah, maybe it was Zeb Wells. I remember there was a comic where he came back as undead and came back and he was kicking everyone's ass for it because he could read their body language. But...
Yeah, no, that was the Zeb Wells New Mutants.
Oh, got it. That was a fun one.
Yeah, no, that was a great run, and that was around the Utopia era of the X-Men in like the late 2000s, early 2010s.
And Magic also made a comeback around that time.
Exactly, yeah. It was a big time for the New Mutants. A lot of comebacks happening.
I love the New Mutants, but he's still the lamest physically. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but he's had a major glow up. He married like a hot wife from Araco from another
Okay, that
dimension,
was his one use in Ten of Swords. I feel was like he had to fight this lady. And he was the only one who could speak her language. That
and they resolved it by getting married. Like
yeah,
the best solution you could get from
that's the
that.
best solution, but it still means he's physically the weakest. It's like in a game, you don't play a Cypher. You have him around as like a boost, not as a guy you want to actually fight.
What does he
His
need a physical mutation for? He's got a wife that can do all his fighting for him. His
oh
boo can
like
like beat everyone up if he's got
so
an amazing bodyguard
his a
slash
tread
wife.
boyfriend. He's a tread boyfriend, as they say,
I guess you could say that, yeah.
or tread husband.
He's got his buddy Warlock too, who can turn into a suit of armor for him too.
What's the point of having this magical alien thing that could turn to swords and armor if you can't fight?
Well, he can fight with Warlock. The two of
Not
them work
well,
together.
but not well.
Okay, he's not like Magic or Danny Moonstar, but hey, he can fight. Get some help.
Everyone else does all the fighting. He's the lamest X-Men. Him,
Listen, it's
Archer's.
the age of revelation right now, I'll have you know.
Uh-huh.
He's like the next apocalypse now, don't you know?
I need to catch up, I'll be honest.
Well, check out Age of Revelation and then
Just
get
say
back to me. Because he's the heir to apocalypse, alright? He's a big deal.
the spies are saying, it's the weird CIA thing in Archer is saying, he's the lamest X-Men. I trust the CIA sometimes, kind of.
I don't trust Archer as much as I trust the actual X-Men comics. Anyways, so then bottom line, Professor X is on his own, and so the syndicate send the little kid out to the police so that he can give the cops their demands. And they're like, we want a personal jet with a pilot fueled up and ready to go in an hour. And then the syndicate, they send everyone else in the bank into the vault. And when they go into the vault, there's a security guard at the bank who's really stressed out and like doesn't know what to do. And he's so stressed and he must have serious health issues because he has a heart attack right then and there. And this is when Professor X starts using his powers very creatively, which is really cool in this issue. There's this woman there who he reaches into her long-term memory so that he can retrieve like her knowledge of doing CPR from when she was a lifeguard like years ago. So she's able to do CPR on the security guard. And then he like is able to rally and like use his leadership skills really well with everyone and saying our only chance is to like mount an escape just to get out of here. So we have to work together. He's very much showing why he is the founder and like the leader of the X-Men.
Yeah.
He like reaches into this one woman's mind and he unlocks a bunch of mental blocks that she has so that she can have like the confidence to use her skills in Taekwondo that she learned.
And forgot.
Cool. Yeah. Exactly. I'm like, wow, yeah, telepathy is a really useful power. Like he's really powerful.
It's creative with it.
Yeah. And I also want to point out too what I forgot to mention earlier at the beginning of the issue when he wasn't able to like get his money from the bank teller. He was thinking like I could just use my power to convince the teller to hand over his life savings to me, but he refuses to do it. And I think there's so many instances where you realize like, wow, Professor Xavier, he may be kind of a jerk, but he's holding back. He could be doing so much worse. He could use his powers to murder everyone on this planet. He could convince people around the world to launch the nukes and implement global annihilation. All these things could go haywire. Professor X just like gave up on his morals.
You know, I just want to say most of us don't have the temptation to rob a bank. Actually, okay. Most of
You
us
just
don't
talked
have...
about it like a couple episodes ago when you talked about if you would be a dragon wizard king, you said you would rob a bank.
Okay, most of us don't have the temptation
Most of us,
to hurt
just
others.
Josh, actually.
Okay, other than stealing money from the bank, because the bank has billions of dollars and insurance, I don't have the temptation to hurt people like Professor X does. He is like, there's something bad about him, the fact that he even has the temptation. If you put a gun in front of me, I would not shoot a single person, most likely. Professor
Most
X...
likely.
Well, like, what if there's like a bad guy, you know? Like, what if there's Hitler in front of
and
me?
that's and that's actually the dilemma that Professor X is faced with more often than not. I think he's seen a lot of the evil of the world and he's seen a lot of bad and he's seen a lot of pain and misery. And I think he has faced the temptation more often than not. And he doesn't always make the right call for sure. There are times when I'm like, oh, you actually made the wrong call and gave into temptation to use your powers for this, to meddle in that. But for the most part, he restrains himself because he realizes it's not his right to, when he's written well anyways, he's not meant to play God. He's not meant to use his powers and abuse them in a way that will like interfere with people's autonomy and like mess with other people's minds in a way that like takes away free will and choice in the world, right?
Okay, that might be true of 616 Professor X, not of Ultimate Professor X, who's turned
That's fair.
Magneto into someone else.
Yeah.
He's a deadbeat dad who abused his wife.
Yeah, I mean, 616 Professor X did not abuse his wife, but he was a deadbeat dad too.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that.
That's true. Yeah, but I see what you mean. Yeah. It's a different writer here. This is Brian K. Vaughan, and Mark Millar's Ultimate Professor X was pretty different. I think
Yeah,
this one is definitely written a little more in line with
yeah,
616 Professor X. But yeah, I see what you mean. It depends on who's writing Professor X, and that's the inconsistency that's kind of tough. I feel like for the past couple of decades, it's been inconsistent on and off in terms of like, Professor X actually is evil and shady and manipulative and abuses his powers. And then there's others that are like, actually, Professor X is like a complicated guy that has done bad things but is trying to do better. So it's like back and forth a
hmm
little bit. And that's what's kind of tricky is like,
yeah.
no one quite knows whether to make him a paragon of virtue, to make him this scummy, shady guy, or to put him somewhere in between. And I feel like it makes the most sense when he is kind of somewhere
Like,
in between. I don't think
yeah,
he's all good or all bad.
I think it's this hard dilemma where he's like a professor and a teacher on one hand, a mutant civil rights leader on the other, and but also this leader of like, well, I mean, I know it's kind of fade a bit of like a mutant civil war and later a politician.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has made some bad calls. He's done some bad things, but at the end of the day, I think fundamentally he is a force for good, is
hmm
the thing. So he's leading this group on this escape from the bank, and he gets called out for trying to like send these younger people in the bank out to fight. And this is like him getting called out, the classic, oh, you send your children into war, like you send children to get killed. That's another criticism of Professor X is like, you turn your X-Men into child soldiers and send them off to die. And his response in this is like, hey, children are actually the ones that are the next generation. They're the ones that are prepared to face the dangers and battles of the world more than you would think, which
Yeah.
is very much like the X-Men. They are the ones who are prepared and ready to face the challenges. They are more capable than people would think just because they're younger.
He also points out like, hey, 18, 19-year-olds are the guys who always die in wars. Just saying.
Yeah.
World War One, you
So
just send
like,
all the 18, 19-year-olds out. Just send
yeah,
them in
like,
waves.
so think about that for a second, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's not far off from like what militaries and governments around the world do, anyways. And
Yeah.
he
You
also
might as
teaches
well.
them and is equipping them to handle themselves and face the world. And isn't
hmm
that what you want to prepare the next generation to do?
Yeah. But he then asks the security guard, hey, do you guys, or the bank teller, do you guys have any of those like tracking or monies bags left? Because he's going to use them on a trick because they're going to give Syndicate some money and have the paint and trackers explode all over him.
Yeah, exactly. So Xavier emerges from the vault and he's like, hey, Syndicate, catch. And he throws a bag of money at them. And it's the cash with like the paint dye that just emerges from the bag and like squirts them in the face with like purple paint or whatever. And that distracts them enough for his team from the bank vault to like disarm and immobilize them.
Including with a taekwondo or a taekwondo kick.
Yeah, that girl uses taekwondo to kick them and disarm them, and then another guy uses a fire extinguisher to like hit them in the head and apparently knock them out. And then he's like, "All right, everyone, go, go, go!" And so he sends like all the people out to freedom, which is great. And the
And
Syndicate are not knocked out, unfortunately. They're fully conscious. They like grab Professor X by the throat. And just when you think they've got him right where they want him, he reads their mind and he's like, I actually know all about. It turns out they're doing all this for their sick sister,
a
Alice.
human.
Like, yeah, they're trying to get money for her because she's sick and they're trying to pay her hospital bills. And this is where it gets really dark because then he's like, I know all about your sister and I will use my powers to telepathically tell her to jump off the hospital roof, which is like, holy shit, man.
Yeah,
And they're like,
that's,
oh, you're bluffing. And I'm like, yeah, like the interesting thing is like, it's hard to tell if he is.
yeah. And then he goes like he starts describing the hospital stairs, and they start freaking out. They're like, "Hey, man, that's a little too far."
They're like, take it easy. No, no, please. That's our sister. So he cuts a deal with them. And so it seems like at first that the Syndicate leaves the bank and they kind of get trigger happy. And then the cops end up shooting them.
Classic.
But it turns out this is a mental image that Professor X has projected in everyone's minds. He's telepathically made it seem like the Syndicate got trigger happy and were killed by the police. And then apparently the memory is just going to fade after a while. But in reality, it turns out he's working with the Syndicate now and he's enlisted them for a secret mission to basically retrieve his funds back from the Hellfire Club. And he's like, I can't send my X-Men to do this. This mission is too dark. It's too dangerous. It's too shady. I can't have them complicit in this.
Well, I'll say that makes sense.
Yeah.
You always need a Black Ops team. You know, Overwatch, they have Blackwatch. Avengers, you have like a Black Ops team. Every team needs a Black Ops. Just saying.
You know, it's been a while since you've made this argument on the show.
I have made it on the show? I think I have. You're right. You're right.
Another running gag of the show is Josh's short-term memory loss. Yes, you've made this argument several times on the show that every superhero team needs a Black Ops team.
Every team needs a Black Ops version.
Just every team in general needs a Black Ops version.
Like the CIA has a Black Ops team, the Army has a Black Ops team, every Army has a Black Ops team. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, the X-Men do have a Black Ops team. The Avengers have a Black Ops team. Both of those are canonical to the main universe. Fantastic Four, there's no Black Ops there. Yet, yeah, apparently. Yeah. There's going to be like a shady operation in Latveria one day. So, I see your point. That is a very 2000s argument, though. Everyone has to be Black Ops.
Everyone's stuck around.
That's true. Are you saying so Power Rangers, Black Ops?
They should. I'm pretty sure if you guys remember the show Ninja Force, there was a Black Ops team in Ninja Force. If you remember.
How about the Transformers? Do they have a Black Ops team?
What's Starscream? Man.
I don't know. Teen Titans?
They are the Black Ops, I think.
Justice League?
Teen Titans is their Black Ops team.
I mean, there is Justice League Dark, but I guess that deals more with supernatural threats.
Yeah, that's more magic stuff.
Okay, that's fair.
Exactly.
Doom Patrol. I could list, I'm just going to play a game where I just list all these teams and see if they need a Black Ops team or
they
if they
need
have
a Black Ops team. They don't have one, but they need one.
You heard it here first, folks. Actually, for the third or fourth time, but whatever.
Yeah. Professor X said, I'll pay for your sister's money, but if you stop working for me, I'm going to just cut her off. Just let her die of some odd disease.
Yikes, yeah. It's dark. The issue ends with Professor X just saying, yep, you are my students and the world is my classroom, which is that's a pretty cool line by Professor X. That is a very Professor X line, an embodiment of his character. He is a professor, a teacher at heart. He's taken it on as his mission to educate the world.
Yeah.
So it's a really good one and done issue, I think, for Professor X. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I just thought the sister stuff was a little dark.
Yeah, but I think that's very much in line with Professor X's shadier, murkier moral ambiguity side. It's you don't know if he's probably bluffing, but it's hard to tell because he seems very serious. I'm I will actually end your sister and cut her funding if you don't do what I say.
Cancer, dick.
Because there have been plenty of shady moments in Professor Xavier's history where you're oh, he's not messing around. This guy's serious.
Yeah.
But sometimes he can be a little too far on the ends justify the means.
58's interesting because it starts with a motorcycle chase, which is always fun.
Oh, you mean 59, yeah.
Oh, sorry, 59.
Yeah.
We just did 58.
Yes. But yeah, it does start on a motorcycle chase in El Paso several years ago. This is a flashback.
That town. It's from your state.
Well, I mean, I don't think I've ever been to El Paso.
Oh, neither have I. I've never been to Dallas, Fort Worth, nor El Paso.
We've both went to school in San Antonio, so we can both call Texas our state.
Yes, but you go back. I have never gone back since graduation.
That's because my family lives in Houston.
Because you're Texans.
It's been almost 10 years. I guess we can say that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Storm is in El Paso years ago during this motorcycle chase with this mysterious mentor from her past named Yuri. And Yuri is chasing Storm because Storm has stolen the bike that Yuri wants and is riding around. And Aurora is listen, I've done what you've said. I give you 90% of what the chop shops pay me. I've learned all I can from you. It's time for me to put food on my table. It's time for me to provide for myself.
Be my own car thief.
Yeah, exactly. So this is really interesting. I love these issues because it gives us more of Storm's backstory in the Ultimate Universe and more about where she's come from and what she's done. She also reveals in the dialogue that she's originally from Morocco in this universe.
Yeah, she might be part Arab.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really cool. It's awesome to see more about this character.
She's not from Morocco in the original comics, right? She's from more of the continental part of Africa, or
I think she was born in the US actually, but I think she was, after her parents died, she was on the streets of Cairo as an orphan and then eventually
that's Egypt, right?
Yes, that, yeah, Egypt represent.
Yeah,
And she was worshipped as a goddess in Kenya when Professor X found her. So she's
yeah,
been around a few places for sure.
yeah.
And Yuri, Storm's mentor in this flashback, whips out a chain to try and deal with Aurora and like knock her off the motorcycle, but Aurora uses her powers to make it rain, and that makes things a lot darker and a lot slipperier on the roads and more dangerous. And Yuri gets hit by a truck,
And we
which,
assume Yuri dies.
yeah, like RIP, like that sucks.
I mean, you're a car
He-
thief, so you know.
yeah, and you were trying to kill Storm too, because
Yeah.
Storm wouldn't give you the bike that she stole for herself. So, but yeah, it cuts back to the present day where Aurora is in Alberta, Canada, and she's outside of a biker bar and she's like looking at this bike that reminds her of this whole incident. Like it looks just like the one that she stole.
And the bar opens up, and a horn dog comes out and tries to hit on her.
And she's like, yeah, I'm looking for my friend.
And
Yeah.
he goes, "Oh, your husband?" And she goes like, "Not exactly."
Yeah, because she's there looking for Wolverine, who
Yeah,
left at the end of the whole like Gambit Fenris arc a couple arcs back because once again he felt like he wasn't good enough for the X-Men and that he was too animalistic and dangerous.
yeah. I
So
will say
Storm went to find him because there were sparks flying of a romance right before that.
this one seems a little better than the Jean one, though the age difference is pretty similar-ish.
Yeah, the age difference is not great, but at least she's not dating someone else. He's not deceiving her in any way like he
Yeah,
was with Jean. He's
and
been very upfront with her. And she was the one initiating too.
get on the horn dog in the here. Usually in these biker bar scenarios, the guy's like super rapey. In this one, he flirts with her, and then like when she tells him she's not interested, she was like, "I'll help you look for your husband, man."
Yeah, but she's like, no need because she sees Logan like brawling in this bar and she's like, that's him. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's Wolverine.
yeah.
Don't need to look anymore. And he's like, Wolverine's beating up these guys in the bar. And it turns out that they actually killed a young mutant.
Because he thought he was a Sasquatch.
Yes. So like Wolverine's getting some much needed retribution and
Yeah,
fighting for mutants out there, which is cool to see. I think a lot of the times you see Wolverine in other media and comics like just getting in fights just to get in fights.
yeah.
But this is for like a very noble cause. He's like trying to avenge this child, this
Well,
mutant kid that was killed.
not nice because that kid was like 14 years old. He said, "But if you see Sasquatch, aren't you gonna shoot it?"
I mean, I would want to know more. I want to like, look
Yeah.
into it. I'm not going to shoot first, ask questions later.
No, you should first dissect it, then taxidermy it.
Okay, I understand your order of operations now, Josh.
Oh, look. Also,
Never let this man around a Sasquatch or anything that looks like one,
look,
because
we
he's
all
going to
want
shoot, dissect, and then harvest its organs, apparently.
a taxidermy. And look,
Taxidermy, sorry.
so we could put it in a museum, and everyone knows what great things I did by discovering Sasquatch.
What if that was a 14-year-old mutant kid instead, and you mistakenly shot this kid
You
and
know,
dissected him and taxidermied him?
we will learn he's a kid when we dissect him and see he has like human organs. I go, oops, we made a goofy. You know, one of the
Whoa,
biggest,
whoops.
yeah, you know, the big Bigfoot con in the 80s was in Albany, funded by the
Yeah.
city government.
Oh, Josh.
You know,
Oh, you concern me in so many ways, but
look,
this is not news.
you don't want to see Bigfoot in a museum. Where does he belong?
If it is Bigfoot, but maybe Bigfoot just wants to be free too. Maybe we should like learn a little more about Bigfoot and like take care of Bigfoot if Bigfoot is just a helpless creature.
How will we know my greatness of discovering Bigfoot if I don't shoot Bigfoot?
Okay, so this is about you.
This is partially about me, but this is about like, humanity in general and our
Oh
quest
yeah.
to know knowledge.
Wink wink. Yeah, all right. Well, Josh's quest for glory aside, Storm arrives in the bar and Logan's beating up these people and Storm's like, "Hey, can I help?" And so Logan like literally throws one of the bikers out the window, getting some air so that way Storm can use her powers to blow some cold wind inside and freeze everyone. So that's a fun bit of teamwork.
Yeah.
And Wolverine reveals, like, yeah, I called the cops already. They're going to clean this thing up. And so they're like, well, how are we going to get out of here? And Storm it's really cool because she like punches through one of the bikers' truck windows and hot wires one of their cars so that they can escape, which is also really cool because then Logan's like, how did you learn how to hotwire a car? And she's like, you're not the only one with a mysterious past. I'm like, hell yeah, tell him, Storm.
If this is a car, by definition, they're not a biker. They're just a car driver. like the
All
rest
right.
of us.
One of the truckers, one of the goons who murdered an innocent kid.
Not knowing it was a kid, just saying they said they didn't know.
All right. Well, you can defend your quest for glory later. Oh my gosh, you poor deluded soul.
Yeah,
It's-
they're being watched by this mysterious figure, though.
yes, it seems like a Weapon X operative because this person is calling in to headquarters to Dr. Cornelius and a few other operatives from Weapon X. And then at the end of this communication, she says, Deathstrike out. And we see it is Lady Deathstrike, who is a
Yeah,
famous enemy, like big enemy of Wolverine, like one of his arch nemesis. So this
usually
is, this is a big deal.
she's usually a cyborg or like a mutated
Yeah.
person. But in the movie, she's a mutant, so I was confused when I first read that she's not a mutant.
Yeah, she like cybernetically enhanced herself so she could kill Wolverine in the main comics. She's a little different here, but not actually that different. She's similar, but we'll get into that more and more as we dig into this character.
Wolverine reveals he's been cleaning up the last remnants of Weapon X people.
Yeah, and he's also still looking for his wife. He shows Aurora the ring that they found way
Yeah.
at the end of the Mark Millar, Adam Kubert Ultimate X-Men run.
That's one of the reasons he says, I can't be with you. What if my wife is still around?
Yeah, and he's like, this is the one part of my old life that I have left that Weapon X didn't take from me that I
Yeah.
know about. And Storm wants to help, but he's like, it's too dangerous. And she's like, all right, but is it too dangerous? Or are you worried about what's going on with you and me and then meeting your wife if that's going to complicate things?
It'd be very funny if he meets his wife and she's like super old. And then he goes like, oh, I'm not into old people.
I was like, never mind.
Never mind.
You're not in your late teens to early 20s? Not interested. Nah, Ultimate Wolverine is nasty like that.
Yeah, he's a freak. He's a
Yeah, he
creep.
is. He is a creep, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then as they're driving, they get interrupted by Deathstrike, who's just standing in the middle of the road, and she uses her long fingernails slash claws to slash the car in half. And then Wolverine's like, hey, leave her alone. And then she's like, I'm not after you. And then Aurora recognizes her and she's like, Yuri. And it's
Yeah.
revealed that Deathstrike is Aurora's old mentor who seemingly died at the beginning of the issue in the flashbacks. So it's really interesting because I was like, ooh, this is cool. Usually Deathstrike has a connection to Wolverine, but this time she's out to get Storm too.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. I can't wait to see more of this.
Do you remember a few comics of Wolverine like fought this lady and she was like, I'm your ex-wife? He goes, really? And she's like, no.
Yeah.
Wolverine, you don't know. It's like, oh, is it just someone you screwed over in the past?
Yeah, like it's hard to tell really who this person is in relation to Wolverine's history because he doesn't remember.
I would find it funny. Someone's after Wolverine. It's like, who are you? It's like, you don't remember me? You kicked me in the balls once, so I'm here to like kill you and your friends.
He's like, that does not narrow it down.
It's like, I'm sorry, man. You know the thing with Wolverine, I wish he just was like, hey, if I screwed you over, I apologize. I was a different guy back then. And I feel a lot of bad guys would just kind of feel a little better about them. Maybe go like, man, maybe I should reconsider trying to kill Wolverine. Maybe.
But for the most part, they just still want to kill him.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of bad, bloodthirsty people he pissed off.
Yeah. Or do they become bloodthirsty because he pissed them off?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
But issue 60 actually starts with another flashback when Yuri is in the hospital after her accident, getting hit by a truck. And Dr. Cornelius from Weapon X approaches her and is like, hey, I'm after Storm too because she murdered Colonel Wraith, which, if you flash all the way back to the second story arc of Ultimate X-Men when they are captured by Weapon X, that's actually not true. Storm blew up his helicopter, but Nightcrawler teleported Colonel Wraith out of the helicopter. It was Nick Fury then who later shot and killed Colonel Wraith. So Dr. Cornelius is really like warping the truth to like manipulate a Deathstrike here. He says to Yuri, he's like, hey, I want to do a life-changing experiment on you that will it's going to enhance your abilities and allow you to be like as dangerous and maybe even more dangerous than Wolverine because we need to take him out because he calls him Storm's bodyguard or whatever.
And if you say no, you're just going to be paralyzed, so why not?
Yeah, like what do you have to lose, really? It could be dangerous, but wouldn't it be worth it if it works? So he manipulates her into that. And so in the present day, Logan steps between Storm and Deathstrike. And you have the classic Wolverine Lady Deathstrike fight where they both have sharp claws and healing abilities and deadly fighting skills. But Wolverine cuts her, and then Deathstrike reveals, like, yeah, I heal twice as fast as Wolverine, so she is deadly.
I don't even know if that makes her better though. It's like he heals fast, so if he heals twice as fast as Wolverine, like that's not much of an improvement.
It's enough to be like, hey, I can take whatever you dish out at me, and I will come back at you even harder very quickly.
I also don't know this obsession with like making new Wolverines to fight Wolverine. I'm like, maybe the way you fight Wolverine is just by getting someone with completely different powers to just destroy him and get him out of your way, you know?
It's been like a lifelong struggle, I feel like, by so many of these Weapon X guys to figure out how to stop Wolverine. Because I feel like there's no winning. If you come at him with just like people with armor and weapons and everything and guns and they start shooting at him, that's not going to do anything. He's going to cut right through them. You come at them with like a different Wolverine, he's just going to be better than that other Wolverine and like beat the crap out of them and slice them up.
Get like a Magneto, get a Hulk, get a Spider-Man
Yeah,
esque character to fight
they
Wolverine.
need a Magneto, honestly. The fact that Weapon X hasn't tried this, as far as I know, is crazy. Get someone who can control metal. Get like a telepath or something.
Or get someone like there's so many Spider-Man around. Just say, hey, I know you're behind on rent. Here's $80,000. Take care of this guy for me. Get a Hulk. There's plenty of those
Yeah.
around too.
Yeah, like they could be doing so much better. They've really dropped the ball so many times when they've tried to kill Wolverine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They're bad at it.
Yeah.
But Deathstrike ends up exploiting like a weakness of Wolverine's because she like sinks her claws into this one bone in his body. I can't remember what it's called, but it's one that like didn't ossify when he was bonded with the adamantium. So she could snap that bone like a twig if she digs deep enough.
And he just
And
falls over.
yeah, and so it's up to Storm to save Wolverine this time, which is a good twist. And
She,
she hits a tree with her lightning, and Yuri's
and
like, "Oh, you
you
missed."
missed.
And it's the classic moment of like, "Oh, really? Did
Yeah.
I?"
And the tree just falls down and knocks Yuri out.
Yeah, it just hits Deathstrike and knocks her over, saving Wolverine. And then the helicopter arrives with Cornelius and the Weapon X team, and they're out to kill. And it's really cool how Wolverine and Storm work together and really fun because basically what happens is that Storm whips up some cover with winds and snow,
Mhm.
and then she uses the winds to fling Wolverine at the helicopter. It's like a fun twist on like the fastball special.
Yeah.
And that just takes down the copter because he just like gets thrown right in there and starts slashing people up and cutting up the helicopter, and it goes down. And so there's a giant crash. It's unclear who survived and who didn't. And then Deathstrike emerges and attacks Storm.
And Storm was a real target all along, really.
Yeah, because it was Cornelius and Weapon X that wanted really to get Wolverine, and they were manipulating Deathstrike based on her grudge against Storm and based off of her desire to kill Storm.
Mhm.
But really, like, the main objective was to kill Wolverine on Weapon X's part. So there's like some dual motives going on here. Basically, what happens is Deathstrike has Storm and is like holding her, but then Storm pulls a really like risky move and just like hits both of them with lightning.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Just hit.
rough.
I think lightning is if you hit one person, it'll hit the other person too, just by conductivity and how it spreads, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. So I'm like,
Yeah.
that was ballsy. That was a really risky move because she nearly killed herself. And then Wolverine emerges from the crash and is like, Aurora. And he's like, I don't even know CPR, man. Like, he has a really funny line where he's like, I break stuff, I don't fix it, which is very true. That's like not a Wolverine thing. He's mainly
Yeah.
there to like beat people up and slash them and cut them and stuff.
I'm surprised he doesn't know CPR. Weapon X never trained you on CPR, man.
Maybe they wiped his memory right after teaching
Oh.
him CPR. He's like, there goes your CPR certification. You don't remember any of this.
There goes your CPR and your improv class
Yeah,
memories.
exactly. Oh, man. Yeah, all those wasted years learning improv, Wolverine. That's rough.
That's why he's such a jerk. He doesn't have anything clever to say.
He's just pissed off that he sucks at improv now.
Yeah.
He can't say any clever one-liners. All he can do is grunt and snarl.
And that's the deal with airline food.
I'm the best there is at what I do. And what
I do isn't very nice.
Yeah.
Who wrote that? Who wrote that one?
That was a Frank Miller line.
That makes
I think
sense.
Frank Miller came up with it when he was doing the art for Chris Claremont's Wolverine miniseries that the two of them did together, the 4-issue miniseries. I think Miller came up with it though. So
Okay.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's iconic and it's stayed with the character ever since.
I know. It's yeah.
But then Wolverine does the classic movie thing where he just hits Storm in the chest a bunch of times instead of doing CPR.
That's not the worst thing, to be honest, if you don't know CPR.
I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah,
And then she's luckily revived by that. And then he's like, "Don't worry, Storm. Everything's going to be fine." It shows him standing over Deathstrike with his claws out.
yeah,
And we don't know what happens after that. Because then it cuts to Storm slowly waking up at Xavier's and Nightcrawler's sitting there watching over her.
yeah. Which is going to be a feature of Nightcrawler, and because they've been making him doing it for a while, but they're going to make it just like a part of his character actually with
Oh
Ultimate.
no, yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
looking forward to that.
yeah,
This is not really so much as a creepy way this time. This time it's a little more in like an endearing, cute way of like, oh, I'm watching over my friend, waiting for her to wake up. Later, it's gonna be weird,
yeah.
but we will get to that. Yikes! But Nightcrawler leaves when Wolverine arrives, and Storm's like, "What happened to Deathstrike?" And he's like, "Ah, it's a long story." And I'm like, "Oh, she got away."
Or he killed her.
I mean, if he killed her, he would have just said so. If it's a long story, she definitely got away. So that's hilarious.
Yeah, but he was like standing over her with his claws, and he knows they have a connection. He doesn't want to make her feel bad. Like, what if they're former lovers or friends? And he goes like, "I killed your friend." She's going like, "What?" So
If he
maybe,
killed her, they would have showed us Wolverine killing Deathstrike. They would have shown that to us already.
yeah, possibly, yeah,
If there's no body, she's still alive. And even if there is a body, there's a chance she'll come back.
not an Ultimate. Ultimate doesn't bring back people usually.
Usually, keyword being. But yeah, death is a little more permanent in an Ultimate because they can take bigger risks because it's not the main continuity. So they can do what they want for the most part.
Yeah,
The Wolverine's telling Storm, yeah, like I'm planning on leaving again. And Storm's like, again? Are you kidding me? Didn't we do this 2 or 3 times
there's
already?
too many Weapon X remnants. I also do love this trope of like you take down this shadowy org, but like the remnants are still out there.
Yeah, that's true. There's still like discrete little groups hiding across the globe, small little networks that are still active.
Yeah,
So he's got a point, but Storm's like, listen, she makes this poetic speech about like, we're both being controlled by our past. I'm running away from my past and you're running toward your past. But maybe it's time we stopped. She's like, what if we just live in the present and work towards a better future? Which is it's kind of sappy and cliched, but it is very poetic and nice. It's unclear, but it seems like she convinces him to stay at the end.
it's a line they always say in romantic comedies towards the end, right before the big kiss scene happens. I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, totally.
yeah,
So that's pretty much the end of the story. And it's a fun two-parter. And I love the art
yeah.
by,
It was
I think
fun.
it's Stuart Immonen who does the art on these 2 issues. I think
Hmm.
that's really good. I just love the dynamic between Wolverine and Storm. I love how they dig into Storm's past even more, too, because I feel like she didn't get a ton of focus before in this series. So I was very happy about that. And yeah, classic Wolverine versus Deathstrike stuff with a little twist that focuses a bit more on Storm, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I'm glad we're getting some of the backstory of some of the non-Wolverine Professor X characters too. You know.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that was great. Any final thoughts, Josh, on these issues or anything else?
None come to mind. I enjoyed reading them. It was fun.
Next time, we are going to be starting, this is very exciting, the Ultimate Galactus trilogy, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, the next thing we're going to talk about is Ultimate Nightmare issues 1 through 5, that miniseries. And so then that's going to go from there into Ultimate Secret and then into Ultimate Extinction. So it's going to be a very fun, like 3 episode event we'll be doing. I'm very excited for that.
yeah,
Getting to talk about all that good stuff, all that jazz. I hear it's very good, honestly,
yeah,
unironically.
yeah. I do know it's not the real Galactus because real Galactus will show up in Ultimate Universe for a bit.
Build that anticipation, folks. We're in it for the long haul, and I hope whoever's listening is with us too.
Yeah.
Until next time, Josh, where can our listeners get in touch with us if they want to email us about the podcast, the comics we read, comics in general, or anything else?
Ultimate Comics Podcast at gmail.com. That's comics plural, podcast singular. So Ultimate Comics Podcast at gmail.com.
That is correct. And you can also reach out to us on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, all at Ultimate Comics Podcast. Our Instagram has pictures that we post from the comics we read, along with reels that are then made into TikToks. And we also have a full episode with video on YouTube if you'd love to see our wonderful faces. But if not, we are also available to listen to, as you're probably doing, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Yeah, Josh, until then, I guess I'll talk to you during the ultimate nightmare.
Yeah.
But until then, everyone else, take care and make mine Ultimate Marvel. Bye bye.